Hello, my kidlets. This is your Meema. And you know what I thought? I thought while we can't talk to each other and while I can't spend too much time with any of you and get all the hugs and everything that I need, I thought I could read you a story. And so, firstly, the best thing that I could think of doing was downloading a book. But sometimes I'm going to read you stories that I've written myself. Okay. But this one is a book called Slime. Slime. And Slime is by a writer called David Walliams. And so I'm going to read this part to you. It says that the story is set, oh, that's silly, Darcy. The story is set on the Isle of Mulch. And that little island is home to some big characters. First of all, there's Ned. And Ned is a very bright, funny boy, and he's 11. But his legs haven't worked since he was a baby, and so Ned uses a wheelchair to whiz around Mulch. And then Jemima is Ned's older sister. So let me see if I can show you that picture. There's Ned. See, he's on his wheelchair. And then Jemima is Ned's older sister, and she loves to play horrid tricks on her little brother, which that's not nice, is it? And then there's Ned's parents, and his dad spends all day on his fishing boat out at sea, and the mum spends all day at the market selling the fish that dad catches. So see them? Yes. Okay. So then there's a guy called Sir Walter Roth, and he's the headmaster of Ned's old school, which was called Mulch School for Revolting Children. And that's the boys' old school because Sir Walter expelled Ned when he was in one of his notorious volcanic rages. So can you see that bad school teacher there? Not like your school teachers, because they're all good, aren't they? And then there's a guy called Mr. Lust. And Mr. Lust is the deputy head of Mulch School for Revolting Children. And day and night, he's lusting after the top job, which is that he wants to be the headmaster. So that's all of them. And then there's a couple of twins, and they're grown ups. Their names are Edmund and Edmond Envy. And they run the only toy shop on the island, and it's called Envy's Emporium. And the terrible twins absolutely loathe children. That means they hate them because children are young. And so they often send the poor kids running out of their shop in tears because they don't like kids. Why have they got a toy shop if they don't like kids? And then there's a piano teacher, and her name is Madame Silenzio Sloth. And she's the world's laziest piano teacher. She's paid good money to give piano lessons to children, but all she does is snooze on the sofa and then she blows off thunderously. That must smell. Look, see, there's her. No, that's her, see? So then there's a guy called Captain Pride, and he's the island's park keeper, and the public park is his pride and joy because he used to be in the army, and he's so proud of his park that no one's ever allowed to set foot in it. Can you imagine a park where nobody can set foot in it? Especially not nasty little children. He thinks they're going to trample the precious grass. And then there is another couple. They're married to each other, and their names are Glenn and Glenda Glutton. And they own the only ice cream van on the island, and it's called Glutton's Glaciers. And that's because they've rammed all their rival ice cream vans off the road so that they're the only ones who can serve ice cream. And they are a married couple, and they're thieves because they snatch pocket money from kids. and then they speed off without giving them their ice creams. That's terrible. Instead, that evil pair scoffs all the ice cream for themselves. And then there's a lady called Aunt Greta Greed. And she is Ned and Jemima's mega rich auntie. And she owns the whole island of Mulch. So this grand old lady lives alone in a castle right on the top of a hill that overlooks the whole island. And all she has to keep her company are more than 100 cats. And she's called all of them Tiddles. Tiddles the cats. And there's 100 of them. Gigantic Tiddles is Aunt Greta's heftiest cat. And it's the size and the weight of the bear. I don't know if I showed you the other guys. That's Captain Pride, who looks after the parks and won't let anybody come. And that's Glenn and Glenda Glutton, who own the ice cream vans. And this is Aunt Greta Greed, and she's got her fattest, biggest, hugest cat with her right there. And then last but not least is Slime, and that's who the book's named after, Slime. So we're going to read this book together. I haven't read it yet because I'm going to read it while I'm reading it to you. But Slime is very much alive, and Slime is a creature that's got the power to change shape or trans-slime into anything and everything. But is slime a force for good or for evil? Well, we're going to have to read that and find out. Raj, there's a newsagent called Raj, and he doesn't live on the island of Mulch. And he's pretty upset. He says, oh, that's a shame. I was looking forward to being in the story. But he's not going to be by the look of it, because he doesn't live on the island. And this is a map of the island of Mulch. Can you see it? Can you see it properly? Yes. So this is the prologue, and the prologue is the bit before the whole story. So I'm reading the prologue first, and the prologue says there, a brief history of slime. Slime is one of the greatest mysteries in the world, if not the greatest. It beats the creation of Stonehenge. Have any of you ever seen Stonehenge? I think some of you have. I have. It laughs in the face of the power of the pyramids because they're really big. And it takes a giant slimy plop on the Loch Ness Monster, because that's up in Scotland. Can you see all those pictures? No, just let me put that there. See, there's Stonehenge at the top, and then there's the pyramids, and then there's Loch Ness Monster. I hope you can see that properly. Let me see if I can make it a bit bigger. No, I can't, but that's all right. Okay, so slime. What is it? Where is it? Who is it? How is it? And why is it? So children demand to know where slime came from, and grown-ups are desperate to know if it's ever going to go back. For the first time in history, the legend of slime can finally be told. All will be revealed in this book, which might be the most important book ever written. Some experts believe that slime dates back billions of years. Their theory is that when the earth was created, it was nothing more than a sea of slime, and out of that slime came more slime, and out of that slime came more slime, and then of course out of that slime came even more slime. It remained buried under the earth for billions of years until now. Others suppose that at the dawn of time, a giant meteor of slime crash landed into the earth. On impact, billions of gallons of slime exploded into the air, covering every living thing in thick slime, which explains why the dinosaurs died out, because they got slimed. There's another theory that many years ago, slime-based aliens from a slime-based planet, which was called the planet Slime, flew in a slime-based spaceship to Earth. And when they got to Earth, they taught all the ancient civilizations about slime, how to construct buildings out of slime, the best recipes to cook with slime, and most importantly, how to make socks out of slime. That's pretty funny. Then the slime based aliens got in their slime based spaceship and they whizzed back to their slime based planet, the planet Slime, and they never came again. But they left the secret of slime with the human race so children could torment grown ups with it forever. Don't torment me, will you? But the truth is rather different. Slime was actually created more than 50 years ago on a remote island. The island of Mulch, to be precise. It's situated in the middle of the great northeast southwestern sea between the islands of Twaddle and Stench. See, that's the island, the Isle of Mulch. How do I know that it's there in the middle of the great northeast southwestern sea between the islands of Twaddle and Stench? Because the guy who wrote the book just made that up. Because stories are made up, right? So, chapter 1, Mulch. The little Isle of Mulch was home to less than 1,000 people. 999 to be precise. I told you it was less than 1,000. One of these 999 was a boy named Ned. Ned wasn't short for anything. He was just called Ned. Ned was 11 years old. He'd been born on Mulch, and like most islanders, he never left. To say Ned was an ordinary boy would be wrong. He wasn't ordinary. He was extraordinary. Ned had been born with legs that didn't work. He couldn't walk at all. So they found him a battered old rusty wheelchair and he learned to use that. So Ned could often be seen whizzing around the islands doing stunts and wheelies to delight all his friends. Can you see him there going to do, that's the island and that's him doing the stunts. Can you see that? "I've got the zoomies," he would cry as he whizzed past. Home for Ned was a tiny, weather-beaten old cottage. You know what weather-beaten means? It's sort of shabby and it's falling apart a bit. The cottage perched on the edge of a cliff overlooking the raging sea that surrounded the island. From dawn until dusk, Ned's mother and father were out of the house at work. Dad was a fisherman, so he was away at sea all day on his fishing boat. Mum sold the fish that Dad caught at the island's market. The only fish you could catch around the Isle of Mull were called shoe fish. They were fish shaped like shoes. Can you see them? Oh, wrong one. Can you see that fish shaped like shoes? That's the fish on that side, and then that's the shoe on the other side, and they look like each other. They didn't just look like fish. They didn't just look like shoes. They tasted like shoes too. The overriding flavour of the shoe fish was foot sweat. Blah, foot sweat. But the locals became used to the taste, disgusting though it was. They had no choice. Needless to say, both Ned's parents absolutely stank of fish. But Ned didn't see or even smell much of them because the pair were always working. Instead, the boy was left at home alone with his older sister, Jemima. Now, Jemima resented Ned deeply, and resented means she was always unhappy about him, didn't really like him. She might have been the older one, but her younger brother Ned got all the attention. The girl wore pretty little flowery dresses with huge steel-capped boots, and she wasn't afraid to use them. Like, see, there she is with her pretty dress, but her big steel-capped boots. Ned's aunt owned the Isle of Mulch. She was his mother's much older sister, and her name was Greta Greed. We already said that, didn't we? One with all the cats, all called Tiddles, 100 of them. High on a hill overlooking the whole island squatted Kitty Litter Castle, a huge medieval